is coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're mine, he said. They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. Did he say Hershey? That's what it sounded like. Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr. With me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight's show is going to be kind of interesting. It's something that's popular right now, that's in the news, that a lot of people are talking about. And it's a subject that I've talked about on Staring before several times. But we've never really gotten to get into depth on it and have an actual conversation about it. And that is asylums. They used to be called insane asylums. There's talk now, there's a growing movement actually now to bring these things back. Because you have a lot of mentally ill people that are ending up homeless and in really bad shape. So I thought tonight we'd talk a little bit about kind of the history of asylums. Not really a deep dive into the history, but just kind of touch on it a little bit. Why they were made illegal, what was supposed to happen, and then what ended up happening. And then whether we think it's a good idea for these things to be brought back or not. And you can let us know down in the comments section of YouTube or wherever you're watching this what you guys think as well. So asylums have been around for a long time. In the beginning, they were almost like prisons in a way, because they would just round up crazy people and they would just lock them away pretty much forever. As time went on, the 20th century came about, and people were trying to have like a kinder, gentler version, you know, where it was more comfortable to be there and more focused on actually helping you than just kind of sequestering you away from everybody else. And for a period of time, it was a pretty sweet deal. If you were a person that suffered from, you know, debilitating mental illness, then you were taken and you were put in these places, and they were actually fairly comfortable. They weren't like palaces, but they weren't bad, you know, and they focused on making sure that you got fed and got the treatment that you needed. Then the government got involved, which is what always happens. And see, a lot of people think that the reason asylums went away is because of all the mistreatment that was happening in asylums. You know, and that was just kind of the public face of it. What kind of got the public support on closing these things down. But I think the actual reasons go a lot deeper than that. And I think the abuse was more of a marketing ploy. I'm not saying abuse didn't happen. But what I'm saying is they focused on, you see it in the news today, they do it all the time, where something will happen and then they will focus on that, blow it up huge, and that's all the hell they talk about. And they just beat it into everybody's head, and then they pay people to go out and start protesting and rioting and shit, and the whole country gets swept up in the nonsense. Same thing then. Basically, what happened to the asylums was, when times were good and we had plenty of money, they were funded. But like times of war, for example, or just when our economy wasn't doing so great and they're looking for places to kind of save some cash, that's where they started saving, is they would cut the funding to the asylums, the state hospitals. And when that happened, they just couldn't keep the standards up to where they should have been. That's how it began, is just a lack of funding. So you had some people in asylums that were literally starving to death because there just wasn't enough money for food, because they had slashed the funding. With that comes not being able to pay good people qualified people to do the job. So with less funding, you end up hiring people that aren't really qualified to do the job and aren't the best candidates. So you get people that aren't making a lot of money, and they do what a lot of people who don't make a lot of money do. You all know this. You all have worked those kind of jobs when you were younger. You know, fast food jobs, stuff like that. People that are making very low amounts of cash generally don't give a shit about the job they're doing because they're not making anything. They don't care. You know, and that's the same was true here, to where you had not enough money to run the places properly, not enough money to staff the places properly. The people that they did get weren't the best people. Okay, then you throw on top of that the whole absolute power corrupts absolutely thing, right? Where these people are in control of these crazy people. And when you have a couple bad eggs that are kind of sadistic and into that kind of thing, with that kind of power over another human being, there's going to be abuse. You see it in prisons as well. To this day, you see it. That can't be helped. It's going to happen no matter what the situation is. You see it everywhere in society. No matter what your job is, everybody has either had or currently has that one boss who is a complete prick. And just because he's the boss, he thinks he can abuse you and yell at you and treat you like crap and talk to you like you're not a human being, right? And make you come in on your anniversary, make you come in on weekends with no notice, all that kind of stuff, right? Everybody's had that boss. Probably multiple bosses like that. For some people, it's the majority of their work experience is bosses like that. So you have that going all through society. It's a common theme that happens when you give people power over other people. Sometimes you get a good boss. Most of the times you get a prick. Okay? Sometimes, even though it's a lot more rare, sometimes you get somebody who will absolutely abuse that power. And they will take it well beyond the line of acceptable. And do things that are downright criminal. You know, and you had that happen here too. But it wasn't as widespread, I don't believe, as what it was made out to be. Because if you'd listen to the media about it, every single asylum was just abusing the hell out of their patients, right? You would think that it was like a Nazi war camp there or something. You know, and speaking of Nazis, that's another interesting little side road on this journey, is the Nazis kind of did the same thing with asylums. Is because of their eugenics program, they decided, you know what, we want to build the perfect people, and these crazy people ain't perfect. And matter of fact, all people with disabilities aren't perfect, right? I'm not saying that. The Nazis said that. So what they decided to do was have these asylums where they would round up the crazy people and the disabled people, and they would send them off to these institutions to care for them, supposedly. But they would not allow the family to visit or anything, and then that quickly turned into not a care home, but an extermination home. And they started wiping these people out. Is that a knock on asylums in general? I don't think so. I think that's just Nazis being Nazis. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they do, is they wipe people out. That's kind of their whole MO. But what's interesting is you had a eugenics program here in America as well. A lot of people don't talk about this. And one of the main figures in that eugenics movement was a lady named Margaret Sanger. Now, some of you might know that name. You should, because that is the founder of Planned Parenthood, who popularized abortion in this country. And abortion started out as a eugenics program, as a way to wipe out the undesirable people, right? They were talking people with disabilities. They were talking people with mental illness. They were talking black people. That's the way it started in this country with Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist and a rampant racist. She hated the blacks, and she wanted to wipe them off the face of the earth. And that's why, to this day, the black community has a higher rate of abortion than any other community, because it was marketed to them. It was focused on them in the beginning. That's what they wanted to do. Now, it's grown from there. It's not that same program now. Now they just want to wipe everybody out. You know what I mean? They're all wanting to get rid of as many people as possible. But it's the same thing. The eugenicists here in America were inspired by the eugenicists in Europe. The Nazis. Same exact principle. And some of that sentiment during that time period bled over to the asylums here in America as well. Now, they never turned into extermination camps, anything like that, but the idea was we can take these people and we can get them off the streets and get them away from the rest of society because they're undesirable. You know, they can't function well in society. That is proof by the homeless problem that we have today. We didn't have a homeless problem like this back when asylums were operating. The reason was because the majority of homeless people are mentally ill. So all those mentally ill people would be housed in asylums. And like I said, when times were good, wasn't a bad deal for them. When times were bad, they got pretty grim. But I don't think that was necessarily a side effect of asylums in general. I don't think that it's the people that were working at the asylums came to work every day jumping for joy at the idea of torturing crazy people. I think it was budget cuts that started all of this. You know, yes, you had a few that were assholes, I'm sure. Like I said, you have it everywhere. But budget cuts were the problem. Government is the problem. It's always the problem. Now, what was supposed to happen, in the 1970s, they passed a law that would fund community care centers. Now, what a community care center is supposed to be is like a little mini version of the asylum, except that people don't stay there all the time. They come in if they need to come in, but then they're sent back home. Because, see, in the 70s, they started developing a couple different drugs. There were antipsychotic drugs that could subdue somebody having a psychotic episode. See, one of the main reasons for asylums in the first place was that when these people would flip their lid and have a psychotic episode, you couldn't control them. There was no way to stop them except just knock them the hell out. So they needed to put them someplace where they could be restrained when they were going nuts, right? So that was one of the features of the asylums is, hey, we can contain these people. We can sedate them if need be. We can restrain them so that they don't hurt themselves or hurt anybody else. Whereas if you have them out in normal society, they're liable to just start ripping into people, you know, and acting a fool. And that's the truth. How many times have you seen that exact scenario play out on the street somewhere in a city? I've seen it many times. I did a lot of work with the homeless. You know, I brought a lot of supplies to those people and tried to make sure they were fed, tried to make sure they were clothed, that kind of thing, right? I did a lot of work with them. And so, believe me, when I tell you, a lot of these people, the majority of these people are mentally ill. And I have seen more times than I have fingers and toes to count one of these people having a psychotic break and just ranting and raving and screaming at the top of their lungs, walking up and down the street. And you've got families, you've got mothers with their kids and stuff walking down the street just trying to live their life. And you got this crazy ass homeless person screaming and hollering and threatening everybody. And I've seen it go beyond just threats to where they are physically attacking people. You know, it does happen. Now, am I saying every single homeless person is a ranting maniac that's going to attack you? No. But the statistics show us, and my real world experience with it shows me, that the majority of these people have mental illnesses that are so severe that they are not capable of functioning in society properly. That's why they're homeless. Because they're not capable of holding down a job and buying a house or renting an apartment or something and paying their bills on time and doing everything you have to do in order to be a functioning member of society and not be homeless. They're not capable of doing it. And the problem is, for a lot of these people, they don't have the family structure to take care of them. You know, that's a thing of the past. I mean, you still have it some, but the majority of times that doesn't happen anymore. Families just don't take care of each other. That's why you see a lot of people with mental illnesses end up on the street. That's why you see a lot of people with drug addictions end up on the street. That's why you see a lot of old people end up in nursing homes and stuff. The majority of people in nursing homes don't have to be in nursing homes because they have a medical condition that has to have 24-hour-a-day nursing care. A lot of those people are just there because they got nobody else to take care of them. And they're not capable of doing it themselves anymore. You know, they need somebody around to make sure they're okay, but they don't need a nurse there 24 hours a day to do medical stuff with them. They just need somebody to watch out for them. And their families aren't around. You know, that's a sad statement on society, but it's unfortunately the truth. So that's kind of how we got here, is a bunch of budget cuts were made to the asylum program. Then you had some of the horror stories about people starving to death, about terrible living conditions, all this kind of stuff that were a direct result of the budget cuts. And then you had stories of some abuse that happened. Now, whether those stories were true or whether it's just media bullshit, who knows? I wasn't there. Even if they were true, which I'm not saying they weren't, they could very well have been, they are broadcast out and pumped up to be this horrible thing. Like the worst thing in the world. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing that it happened. It sucks that it happened if it did, right? I'm not saying it's okay. But we ended up in a situation where we kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater, that old saying, right? Because the solution was, hey, we've got these new drugs now that can actually handle people that are having psychotic episodes, so we don't have to commit them anymore. They can do outpatient stuff. So why don't we shift the funding from inpatient stuff, which cost a shit ton of money, to a much less amount of money? We'll be able to run outpatient clinics where they can come in and get the drugs that they need to remain level, and they don't have to stay in an asylum. They can stay at their own homes. And just as long as they take their medicine, they'll be fine. Well, a couple problems with that idea. One, they didn't follow through on it. Right? Yes, there was some funding that went out for community centers, but it wasn't anywhere near what it needed to be. There wasn't the structure in place in order to actually make it work. And they overlooked one of the most important things. Crazy people rarely take their medicine. That's a problem. Especially these people that end up on the streets. You know, the people that end up on the streets are people with schizophrenia, people with borderline personality disorder, those kind of people. And one of the most famous things they do is not take their medicine. That's why they end up that way. Okay? Because when they take the medicine, they're kind of okay. So then they get to the point in their own head, and I know, because I know people that have schizophrenia. I know people that have borderline personality disorder. I know people that have bipolar disorder. What happens is they feel like they're okay when they're on their medicine. So in their head, they don't equate that with, I'm okay because I'm taking the medicine. In their head, they say, well, I'm okay. I don't need this medicine. And they always go off of it. It always happens. Well, I don't want to say always, but almost always. It happens a lot. I've seen it happen a lot, where they will stop taking their medication. And then they end up going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and they end up in a really bad situation. Then they get rounded up by the police usually, and they get put on a 72-hour hold where they get put into a hospital, basically, a mental ward of a hospital. And the only thing they really do there is keep you locked in there so you can't get out. And you have a bed, right? And you just kind of hang out, and you go to group once in a while and just talk about your feelings and shit. And they just get your medicine straight again, get you back on your pills. And then once you're back on your pills and your dose kicks in, they let you go again. And you're right back out in the world. And you're not any better, really. You're just doped up again. That's all it is. You know, and the problem is these people aren't going to continue to take that medication. They never do. And then you end up with another situation that happens quite a bit. And that is if you are on the same mental medication long term, right, for a long time, which if you have a serious mental illness, you need to be. What ends up happening is your body becomes accustomed to that dose. So then you have to continually up that dose. It's the same with pretty much all drugs. Is your body gets used to it, you got to take more in order to get the same effect you were getting. But the problem is there's only so much of that stuff you can take before it reaches a point to where you're going to have a lot of really bad stuff happen to you. Sometimes it's toxic after a certain level. Sometimes it just causes worse than you had in the beginning. Sometimes it just plain out doesn't work anymore because your body is used to it now and you can't go up any higher in the dosage. So then you might as well not be taking anything. So then what happens then? You end up going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs again. You end up being rounded up by the police again and right back into the mental ward of the hospital. And they hold you for 3 days, a week, whatever it is. And then get your medicine straight, get you on a new medicine, and then they throw you back out on the street again. It's a vicious cycle that happens over and over and over again. So the question we have to ask is, would it be better to reopen asylums? Have that model again. Now this isn't for everybody with mental illness, okay? This is for the people that have severe mental illness that are ending up on the street and everything. Would it be better for those people if we could put them in a long-term care facility, an asylum, right? And take care of them and make sure that they have their medication, make sure they have food, make sure they're cared for, and keep them there so that they're not out on the street. They're not in everybody's way, hurting people, yelling at people, acting crazy. And they're not starving to death. They're not sleeping out in the cold. They're cared for. Is that better? Or should we leave these people alone and let them live on the streets? Let them live in cardboard boxes in front of businesses where you take your family. Some of them batshit crazy, where you got to worry about them running up and doing something. Because that is a reality. I don't give a shit what the liberals say. That is a reality. That is real life. I have seen it over and over and over again. Is that better? Or is the asylum idea better? Now, there's a caveat with that. I am for opening up asylums again in order to get these people off the street and get them the help they need. But you can't cut the funding of them. You got to have enough money to do the job. Okay? You cannot allow people to get jobs there that are going to abuse these people. You got to hire good people. Right? It has to be a very strict hiring process. You got to do a background check on these people. You got to make sure that it's going to be okay if you do this. So that's my view on it, is bring back asylums, but do it in a way where there's oversight, where we know what's going on, and not allow those kind of things to happen again. I think leaving these people out on the street is madness. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because all that happens when you leave them out on the street is they live in horrible conditions. They don't have enough to eat. They end up freezing to death. They end up hurting people or getting hurt themselves. And let's face it, they make cities not worth visiting anymore, man. I don't want to go to a city that has a bunch of people laying around on the fucking ground everywhere, shooting up drugs and shitting and pissing everywhere and screaming at my kids. And I don't want to deal with that shit. You know, a lot of this is in the news because, like, what's going on with D.C. and the homeless now, you know, and all that's happening with the National Guard in D.C. and cleaning that place up and everything. I don't see how that's a bad thing. You know, I don't see how cleaning up the crime and getting the criminals off the street and getting these homeless people off the street is a bad thing. I mean, I've heard some crazy shit. They're sending them to Alligator Alcatraz. They're doing it. No, they're fucking not. They're not doing that, dude. They're taking them to shelters, or they're taking them to get mental health help that they need. That's what they're doing with them. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But I think the asylum idea is what will fix the problem. If you want to end homelessness, open asylums back up, fund them. Because believe me, for less money than we're spending now, trying to help the homeless and feed the homeless and all that kind of stuff that we do, that money could be put into asylums. And not only would they be fed and clothed, but they would actually get the help they need. You know, and some of them might end up back in society and being productive again. Who knows? You know, but you got to realize back in that time period when asylums were open and popular, it was a lot different than it is now. I mean, they still thought lobotomies were a good idea back then, right? We know now that that's a crazy thing to do to somebody, but back then that was cutting edge science, and they thought, oh, it's the newest thing. It's great. We can cure it. Yeah, because you make the person a vegetable. You know what I mean? We don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I think that it could work. You know, and I think that it is a solution. I think it would be beneficial to the people, and it would be beneficial to all of us. So that's my view on it. I'm gonna throw it over to Old Boy and see what he has to say. Go ahead, brother.
Well, this is going to be a little different show than usual, but we can do what we want now. We don't have as much, we have brain on whatever we want to do now. And just so you guys know, before I get into this, while he was talking, somebody emailed me back that we were talking about earlier. It's going to be a big, very big, when he comes on, is probably the biggest guest we've ever had. I'm not going to say his name, but we'll just leave it at that. I was emailing him while James was talking. So just so you know that we're big time now. But no, we have if he comes on, it's going to be a very special show for you guys. We're excited. Just so you guys know that. And it's a well-known movie star. Not really into horror. He's probably done a couple, but he's more known for comedy and gangster movies and stuff like that. We'll leave it at that. It'll be special. So that's coming. I live in California, where the most homeless are at in the world, in the country. Or no, now it's Seattle because everybody's going over there in Portland. So I think it's like second now. But California has the most people, I guess. But we have like a lot of like couple million homeless. I'm gonna be all honest. A lot of it is that some of these people can't even afford to live here, so now they're just living in the street. They make 60, 50,000 a year, just can't afford it. And now there's criminals running around. Even people who are homeless are saying it's some of these people like are out of their mind, like they should be put somewhere. In they need to do it. I see it all the time. I work in a town. I have a lot of problems with the homeless. And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, yelling, screaming themselves, killed people, fighting, hitting each other, all talking to themselves. I see it all the time. I deal with the homeless, so I understand where this is actually something I deal with. I think they should bring asylums, but I also think they need to open up drug rehab because some of these people need, if that's what their problem is. And throwing him in jail costs more money than not helping him. The problem is we can never have what happened at Pennhurst and some of these other fucking places where people are getting molested. That one in LA, they shut down, or I think it was in Whittier. It was really bad stuff happening there, and we can't have that. We can't. I don't think that will happen. You still will have stuff happening, isolated incidents with people, but you can't have that happen again. That's why people are scared about asylums because of what's happened in the past. It wasn't just because they closed down. There was a lot of bad things going on. It will bring jobs back. You bring a 20, make about 20,000 of them over the country, especially California, about 30 of them. You'd get a shitload of jobs. You bring about $1 million, about 500,000 jobs right there, man. Now it brings some money back, maybe more than that, maybe 1 million. So keeping them in jail is too much money, and putting them, it's not. They're not going to change. They know, and then some of them know what they're doing, so they act even crazier. They know they're crazy, but they get away with it. I have people talking themselves, running around half naked, yelling and screaming. I deal with this shit all the time where I work. It's the truth. They need to bring back asylums. I actually am going to 100% agree with him on the show. I know this isn't about paranormal, but it is a big topic that people are talking about. I mean, we've done it. We've done Pennhurst. I have personally done Penhurst, so this is where it comes the ghost part of it, because we could bring that up because there's a lot of them it's haunted too. So it kind of brings in the whole paranormal in it too. So now you can say it's a paranormal show. But I've done Penhurst and it was crazy. You had some idiot in the background saying, "It's a little kid, I'm a medium." Okay, what's the first thing that they do? They pretend to be kids. That's why I said I hate when you have a tour with 155 people and one idiot here and the other one's here and oh, I seen Ghost Adventures. I know it. If you tell me you seen Ghost Adventures or say the name Zach Baggins, you don't even have to look at me. I'll just walk away from you. I understand there's people who like Baggins. That's your business. And I'm gonna get on. That's the only one I'm gonna get on is if you like Baggins, that's your business. Keep it your business. And I don't hate the guy. I just don't want to hear nothing about him. I have a lot. We have a opinion on him. I mean, he's gonna do his business. I don't hate on him from getting rich. That's his business. That's how he's gonna do things. It's working for him. Good for him. Good for you for watching the shows. But other than that, but there you go. There's the paranormal part. So now you can say it was a paranormal show because we talked about it for 2 seconds. But I do agree with him. I do think that we need to get asylums open again. I think we need to. That will bring jobs back. We'll get a lot of the homeless off the street. You're talking about getting a lot of the crime. I think what's going on DC is I have my opinions. I think that yeah, now the exaggerations are coming. People got to realize the crime's getting out of control. I don't know if you know, and I saw that they gave up 26 cartel people, and the big names out there in Mexico. I saw they're working with them now. So a lot of shit's changing, man. Like federally, people, they don't get it. Feds don't. They don't have to listen to what cops are a different level than feds. Feds can do what they want. I mean, they can't just beat you for no, but you put your hands on it. It's not going to be like a cop where you think you're going to get away with it. It's going to be different, and it's just things are going to change. Now, I think there's some of it I don't agree with. You know, I know there's stuff being said right now about, California. I know you're probably heard it. He's threatening so he can win the midterm, but I heard the Supreme Court said they'll stop him from doing it. And did you see it? California, 68% of people are against it. Actually, California's not for it, surprisingly, because they want an independent thing where the government doesn't make it. So you're surprisingly, California doesn't agree with Newsom. They actually had that on Channel 5. It's like 68, 69% against it. So that's kind of come up, and that's now they're kind of telling them to step back after that poll came out because it's saying that 70% of Californians are agreeing with him. So that's kind of changed now. Yeah, he made that threat, but now that came out after, and now he kind of sees how the people are kind of saying they're against it. So I think it's a mistake because then Trump said he's going to go after us even more and get rid of the delegates or something. He said he's going to take 10 delegates away if he does that or from California because they already lost 10. But he's talking about giving Texas 20 more and taking 10 and 10 from New York. So he's talking about taking delegates from all these states. So that's why I'm saying I really don't know what he's going to do because it's just going to be an ongoing thing, it looks like, with this whole thing. And I'm not even a Trump supporter. I just live in California, and I know that. I'm just telling you guys, and I'm not trying to make it political, but I'm just saying what's been going on with all this shit. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now, guys. Like I say, asylums, giant 7-mile fucking ship that's coming now, or whatever's going on. That's going to happen in November. Then the tsunami, it never happened. The tsunami that they said was going to happen, and it did happen, but it wasn't nothing to what it was only 12 feet. And when it hurt Russia, I know they had 13-foot waves, but when it got to Hawaii, it was only 8 feet. And it was supposed to be 15. It kind of died out, I guess. In California, only got about 6 feet of wave. Oregon got 7. So we didn't even get in California. Supposed to get 13 feet of wave, 12 feet. And it wasn't even half that. And that was a good thing. We dodged a bullet because it could have been a lot worse than it was. I think they have stuff there that slows it down now. Don't they have those walls now? It kind of slows it down now. They can slow it down or something. I know they have them in Dubai. So I think they use those walls. It slows it down and makes it not as bad as it would have been. takes about 40% of away of what it would, but some of those countries don't have it like we do. If it hit us, it wouldn't have been as bad as it would hit like another country in Asia because we have those big walls in the middle of the ocean or something. It slows it down or kind of cuts the current. But I think we do. I know Dubai does or something. I was reading they have those walls that go up or something, but it protects some of the if there's a big tsunami or something or tsunami. But that's another thing that's been going on. Fires. I'm going to tell you right now, the world's going in madness. But I told people this has always happened. This isn't the first time this happened. Happens all the time. We just see it now because we're in technology. Now the 7 mile that was an asteroid that now it's a 7 mile ship that's coming and it's not friendly. And I saw it on CNN now. Now it's becoming, I know, but when it gets on one of the big names, I know, but at least it's a name. It's not like Sunset News or the Leprechaun of Diary or the New Orleans Post. It's an actual CNN's actually talking about it. I even saw it on
It's
ABC.
it's kind of funny, isn't it, that as soon as like the Clintons and everybody are getting ready to get called in on the Epstein thing and the Russiagate things happening and all these people are getting subpoenaed, all of a sudden, Three Eye Atlas is now went from being a comet to a alien spacecraft that's going to kill everybody. And no big surprise that CNN is talking about it because I bet you their asses are going to be hauled in before Congress too.
Well, again, it was also on ABC. But if that is the truth, if now that this is really what's going to happen, that they've known for a couple years and COVID was just a plot to get us to stay in the house, because if they're coming and they got a 7 fucking mile ship, we are fucked. They said that ship is like, what isn't it, big as the half a state or something, like half a state of New York or something. Or New Jersey, something like it's like bigger than New York or big as New York. If that's coming, we're fucked. There's no winning. We are fucked. I don't care what
Hey,
they say.
unlike other things in life, man, I think in this instance, size doesn't matter. I don't care how big the ship is. If they can get here from wherever the hell they're from, I think we're fucked regardless of the size of the ship.
Yeah, and if I'm just saying, if they built a 7 mile ship, yeah, he's absolutely right. They're just taking their time to fuck us. They're fucking us slowly. I think what's going to happen in October, it's going to shit the fan. They're going to tell the truth that we're getting invaded and there's nothing you're going to do about it. They've been fucking watching us. That's why they're going to lock us up in things. Everything you know is going to change. And now we're going to sit here and all this fucking time we were watching these alien movies and Orson Welles was right. Maybe the truth was he knew it and he fucking told the truth. And they told him, let's see what would really happen if you don't announce this is good. Remember Orson Welles, the War of the Wars? And then people really thought it happened. You want to know what I think? I think they told him. That's when Roswell and all that shit happened. I think they told him, let's see what it would really happen. And they did. And then they told him, oh, just make it up and say it never happened. You know what I mean? It was just bullshit. So that's what I'm saying. I think if that's gonna happen, we're fucked. I'm just gonna say like what are we gonna do? Hopefully they just take everything over quietly and yeah, kiss your life goodbye because you're probably gonna be working in some fucking minefield for the aliens. You're not gonna have to worry about presidents no more because the real leaders are gonna take it over and they're gonna say, well, you know what? Or they're gonna come here and be peaceful because again, everything is attacking us. And what if it's the opposite? What if they are here to take everything over? They're just tired of seeing what we're doing. And they're all you're gonna get this shit straight. That's it. We're gonna cure shit. You guys are gonna see what you guys are gonna get your asses fucking and act and that's it, man. We're fucked. And then you know If you remember the show one day when you're running from the aliens, with beams going to your ass, remember to listen to the show because we warned your ass. One day that's going to happen. I promise you, the aliens are coming. And I'm gonna laugh because I'm gonna remember that I told you guys. And I'll probably be gone or something, maybe fucking dead or something, but at least we warned you. We've warned you about any scenario. We've warned you about the end of the world if you believe in God. We should even do it, have people a favor and even read it in the other religions so we can have everybody be safe in whatever they believe. We'll be friendly, religious friendly. Um, in the end, if aliens do come here, I don't think it's going to be good or bad. I think we're going to be put in check. I think that's what it's really about. I think they're done seeing what we're doing. If they're here, I'm saying if they come. I think they've been here for a while and we're done. You guys are just getting out of control. You're fucking killing each other over the weather. You're shooting each other over, looking at each other wrong. It's over. We're not dealing with this no more. So they're gonna clean everybody up. This is an experiment that's gone wrong. Trust me, this isn't the first time this is going on. This is going on. Like they just said, one thing NASA said, we're talking about space now. Only 95% of the universe hasn't even been touched by us. We only seen 5%. Sounds familiar. The ocean's what, 6, 7? So there's 93% left of the ocean. We have 95% left of space. We're only seeing 5%. If that's the truth, we are not the only things here.
That number is nowhere even near close to right. And
Ninety-five.
not because I'm saying it's more, it's way less. We haven't even seen like 1%, not even close to 1%, maybe not even 100th of 1% of the universe. I mean, hell, we haven't even probably seen 5% of our own galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. You know what I mean? And you have no idea the vastness of space we're talking about. I mean, it is unbelievable. They're literally like some of this stuff is so far away, dude, that it doesn't even matter what the hell they're doing. Like they could be a complete race of warrior aliens that could destroy us by snapping their fingers, but they're so far away it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Because they'll never get here. You know, the only way you can get here is if you would have like some kind of wormhole technology where you could, like Einstein talked about, where you could bend space and create a wormhole to go from point A to point B like that. Because even traveling the speed of light, it would take more than our lifetime just to get out of our own galaxy. You know what I mean? But yeah, that number's way lower than 5%.
Well, whatever. I think they just did it so but people got to realize, okay, say it's only 1 or 2%, like James is saying. We'll cut it in half. We'll say 2.5. Even then, do you realize the odds of us being the only thing is impossible? And this is coming from another galaxy, this fucking 7.5 mile fucking giant. And they showed it. It looks fucking weird, dude. It's fucked. It could be a giant race of fucking unicorns that can shove their fucking horns in their ass. We're gonna be fucked. I'm just saying, you don't know what the fuck's coming out of this ship. So, uh, we could be really in trouble, bro. We could have giant robot coming out of this motherfucker like Terminator. We could have reptilians. They could be what they are, and they're like, fuck you guys. We're 10 feet tall. You're our bitch now. We will be fucked. So, or it could be little blue men that come out. You never know. And they just use their mind and they're more powerful than us. So, that would be something that, and I clap my hand because I don't want to interrupt this show because of the dogs licking his feet. Sorry, guys. But we are fucked. You are fucked. Like you've never been fucked before because we've made so many fucking movies about hating aliens. They're gonna see this shit and they're gonna fucking roast us like bitches. And I know people are gonna laugh their fucking ass off because of the show, but it's the motherfucking truth. We are fucked, dude. Like you never understand how fucked we are if they are coming. It's like having the fucking, what do they call them? not the Death Star. No, it's not Death Star. It's the other thing. The Star Destroyers. It's like having like three of them coming at us. If that's coming at us and those ships are not anything we're going to be able to mess with, we're fucked, dude. I'm just like, these aliens have been telling us this thing's coming. Maybe that's what we've been told, and some of these aliens they're underground, like you said, and they're going to protect us. That's why we have some of the technology to help. But this motherfucker's, oh, fuck you. We're going to kill whoever's on this planet who's helping you, and we're going to be fucked. And then giant Batman are going to come and fucking take over the planet. I don't know, man. I hope this isn't real because it's going to be fucked. It's going to be a shit show. And actually, I'm just going to think it's funny because I always knew that's going to happen one day. And then everything we thought was fake is real. What if that's the truth? Everything we think is fake is really real. And it just, we don't see it. Yeah. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this part of the show. I made it a little bit clearer and more paranormal and more alien-like. So there you guys go. I'll throw it over to James, brother.
So your basic theory here, your hypothesis, is that the aliens heard that we were talking shit. And they come down like some kind of face-off in a gang movie. And they're like, hey, I heard you guys were talking shit. And they're just going to bitch slap us around. I'm not worried about the aliens, man. Who cares? Fuck them. I mean, even if they're nice, we're still going to fuck it up and we're going to attack them in some way. Because you know that's going to happen. And if they come and they try to take over shit, I'm not going to have to worry about it anyway because I'll be dead. Because rednecks don't put up with that bullshit, man. I'll fight. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck if I can win or not. I'm fighting. I'd rather die than fucking live on my knees as a slave. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I ain't afraid
They're
of
going to
these fucking...
send a beam and fry your ass.
I don't give a shit. I ain't afraid of these punks. Let them kill me, dude. I don't care. Like I said, I'm going to live free and I'm going to die free. I'm not ever being under anybody's thumb. You know, alien, government, nobody. Fuck them all. I don't care. I do what the fuck I want. You know what I mean? And I'm going to live how I want to live. And if they try to take my freedom, we're going to have a fucking Braveheart moment. You know what I mean? You can take my life, but you cannot take my freedom. I will die on my feet. You know what I mean? I will not live on my knees. No chance in hell. No chance in hell. And the thing is, the majority of rednecks are like that. So you take all the rednecks, we're going to fight. You take all the gangbangers, them motherfuckers are going to fight. Right? You take all the bikers, they're going to fight. The only people that aren't going to fight are going to be the libs. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to come down here, and it's going to be like a scene out of Mars Attacks. Remember that movie? Where they come down and you're going to have some liberal pussy who's going to walk up, oh, we come in peace. We welcome you to our planet. Alien rights. And then they're going to blast his stupid ass. You know what I mean? That's exactly what's going to happen. And they'll probably be way more powerful than us. That's 100% true. And we'll all be dead. And the only people that'll be left will be the libs. And then they can be their slaves. But anyway, that's the show, I think. Hope you guys liked it. I don't know how we got from Asylums to aliens bitch slapping us, but it was fun. So, you know, it's going to be more like that now than just having just a single topic and being so strict because the chains are off, man. We're free to do whatever the fuck we want, which is glorious. I love that. You know what I mean? I hated not being able to say what I wanted to say sometimes, you know, and having to censor myself and watch. Because I'm not good at that. Like I said, I'm free, man. I'm going to live free. I'm going to say what I want. And I've said a lot of stuff on this show that I wasn't supposed to say. And I've gotten in trouble for it. You know what I mean? I paid the price. But that's just the way it is, man. I'm going to say what I want to say, and we're going to have fun. And we're going to talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about, you know? And if you guys want to hang out and join us, that's awesome. You know, we'd love to have you. And if not, that's cool too, man. You know what I mean? I'm not going to worry too much about, oh, we can't say this, we can't say that, because it's going to offend people. Fuck it, man. You got to be able to have conversations. You got to be able to talk about things. You know, like this whole asylum issue that we started the show on, a lot of people won't even talk about it because they're so afraid. Oh, I can't talk about that because, you know, disabled people, you know, because they look at mental illness and disabilities as the same thing. And in a way it is, I guess, but it's not really as a person who has a mental illness is not the same as somebody who is in a wheelchair because they lost their legs or something. You know what I mean? It's a totally different situation. There's no reason to take a crippled person that's in a wheelchair and lock them up in a fucking institution. If they're of sound mind and they can live their life and take care of themselves, there's no reason we have to do anything with those people. You know what I mean? Let them be them. They're cool, whatever. I ain't got no issue with them. But the crazy people is a whole different story, man, because they're not only a danger to themselves, they're a danger to other people. And I'm not saying every single person with disabilities. I'm not saying every single person with mental illness either. You know, like I said, I have friends that have schizophrenia that I have stayed up all night talking to and helping. You know what I mean? I love these people. I have friends with bipolar. You know, my wife has bipolar and borderline personality disorder. You know, I know the mental health game, man. I know going through the mental ward in hospitals and getting the medications adjusted and because they're not working anymore. I know the hell that is. I know the withdrawals you go through on some of these things. Feeling like bugs are crawling through your skin. Having seizures, all that kind of shit. Dude, I know it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've lived it. You know, I'm not on any of those medications. I never have been. But I know people, and I love people that do battle with these things. You know, and if somebody is capable of living their life, and they have somebody that's taking care of them, and they're okay, leave them alone. You know, there's no reason you got to lock them up. But if there's people that are living on the street because they got nobody, they can't feed themselves, they can't house themselves, they can't clothe themselves, and they're laying out in the damn cold concrete at night, that's crazy. Why the hell would we allow that as a civilized society? Why would we say, yeah, that's okay, let them lay out there in the street and piss all over themselves? What the hell kind of shit is that? You know, help those people. But the key is, like I said in the beginning, and like Old Boy reiterated, and it's 100% true, we got to make sure that it doesn't go the bad way. We got to make sure that if we do this, that it's funded and those people are taken care of properly. You know, stay on top of that shit. And I think nowadays it'd be so much harder to abuse people the way they did in the old days. Simply because everybody's on social media, everybody's filming every damn thing all the time. It would get out. I mean, you're not going to have people never check on their family again. You know, they might want to put them in an institution the same way they put old people in a nursing home so that they don't have to deal with them all the time, but they still see them once in a while. They still talk to them some, you know. So you would very quickly find out if that kind of shit was happening again. And if it starts to happen, you fire those people and you prosecute them if they've done something wrong. That's the way you handle it, you know. You can't get rid of something that is useful and helpful just because of a couple bad actors. You know, that's the way I think about it. But anyway, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. And also, if the aliens come, you fighting or are you going to lay down like a bitch? That's a good question for everybody. What are you doing? Are you going to be with me and the rednecks and fight? Or are you going to be like, you know, the California people and give up? We should just call California France. What do you think? Same basic principle? I'm just fucking around. A lot of really badass people are in California, believe it or not. All those biker gangs and the gangbangers shit. It's a lot of badasses in California. I poke fun about California because Old Boy's from California. And he used to poke fun back in the old days. For those of you who've been around for a long, long time, they used to just rag me mercilessly about being a redneck and talk about all kinds of fucking hillbilly shit all the time. And it was fun. But yeah, I don't really actually have anything against California people. I think your politics are dumb. But you know, it is what it is, man. I think there's a lot of good people there. You know, a lot of people there that are just kind of stuck because they love California. They were born there and they don't agree with the dumb shit that they do. You know, and that sucks for those people.
Other than Hawaii, probably the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah, it is gorgeous.
Not in the world. And one of the most gorgeous places in the country, in the world. California has gorgeous places, mountains. That's one thing he will not. And we have everything. So it's California is why it's expensive. It's a gorgeous place to live. Gorgeous stuff, gorgeous land. That's one thing he won't say. It's a beautiful place. He knows that. There's a lot. It used to be a hell of a beautiful place in the 60s and 70s. That was where everyone wanted to be. Now not that way no more. It's California's changed a lot. California was a great place, and it still is. And I'm not going to sit here and say everything in California sucks because it doesn't. We have a lot of stuff here, and a lot of people to offer, and we're a melting pot, and that's great. I love it that way. Different cultures, everything, and we all get along pretty well here. We have forever. We we keep each other pretty out of our business. We do everything's pretty mixed here, and it's great that way. We have the best Mexican food in the fucking world. I don't give a fuck what anybody says other than Mexico, and we're literally 2 hours away. Not that Tex-Mex bullshit, and that let's go. Hey guys, there's a new taco place. It's fucking Del Taco. Where do you think it came from? The high desert. The second one's the first ever Del Tacos in Barstow, 20 minutes away from me. And Victor
California,
Ron's the second.
California Mexican food, dude, is just it's too high class. That's the problem. I don't like it. It's too clean. It's too healthy. I don't want that shit.
No. That's the other bullshit. Nope. I'm talking about the Mexico version of Mexican food is the best. And that dude, I'm telling you, L.A. We are spoiled because of the Mexican food we have. We have the best. You guys, the way you eat tacos is embarrassment because you're not supposed to put lettuce and shit on tacos. You put carne asada, and you put green sauce or red sauce, maybe some cheese. Some people don't, and they put uh, um, pico de gallo on it, and then some put fuck, I forgot what the name is. It's like this green, and it's oh man, that's that I love it. I don't put cheese on. I eat that, and that's the way I eat my tacos. And they're little ones, the ones you see. Like I love tacos, regular white people night tacos. Why, and I'm white, so I can say that. But that's what my parents would do. And then I would go to like a authentic. Now, when my wife is from El Salvador, but her family, her stepfather's from Mexico. Dude, Christmas is like heaven. I get Mexican style tamales and El Salvadorian tamales. I eat like a king, guys. My wife is he knows he can vouch because my wife has made him cookies and he's seen the shit my wife can make. Dude, I'm sorry, it's the best cooking. I'm just biased, and I'm from back east. No one makes the sandwiches like they do back east, and pizza, no one. And like it's just here, pizza sucks. It's like cardboard. Pizza sucks in California. Now there is a place in LA. They're not from here. They got that guy rated. It's like 8.4. They're really good. I've had a piece. They're actually really good. But that's about it. California pizza sucks. Their sandwiches suck. Mexican food and Asian and not we have a lot of good Asian food out here too. Especially sushi, especially that very good out here too. Uh, but yeah, pizza not too well. No, man, it sucks, dude. That's one thing I miss about back east is the sandwich places and the good food you guys get. Like if you go to eat, the one thing I will say, I don't like New York, but they got some of the best bakeries in the fucking world, and like whether they open at 2 in the morning and they have lines out the door at 4 in the morning, people stand in line, and I saw some of this shit that they're eating. One thing can't hate on New York is they got the best food I've ever fucking seen. They have everything everywhere. They have fucking everywhere you go, there's food. And it's all kinds of different shit. Pizza's cheap, everything's cheap to eat. That's how it should be. We should be a melting pot of everybody getting along and eating fucking food and not fucking worrying about what's not really matters anymore. But I think that's kind of the shows we need to
So
do.
what's your favorite type of food? Is it Mexican food?
Oh yeah. Mexican food. Yeah, yes, I absolutely I can't tacos, enchiladas, tortas. I love pozole. Oh, all day, dude. Chicharrones. If you see it, that it's like being in heaven. That's me. Not everybody sees that. There's like James. He doesn't like Mac. He likes pizza and sandwiches, and there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
Italian
He's
food is where it's at, bro. The pasta, the pizzas, the uh, cheesesteaks, even though cheesesteak isn't really an Italian dish, but it's served by the same people, so what the hell? We'll just call it Italian food. I love that shit, man. There's nothing better than a good pizza or a good lasagna or something like that. Now, Mexican food, I would probably put number 2 on that list. I like Mexican food, but I don't like your Mexican food. I like Tex-Mex type Mexican. I like that down and dirty, fucking nasty, might get some dirt in the taco kind of tacos. I don't like that healthy, clean California shit. Your food is it's too good. And there's something to be said for good old country cooking too, man. Like if you ain't had some squirrel pot pie, brother, geez, man, that's some good shit. You take some squirrel pot pie, some nice fresh bread you just baked, and you put some apple butter on that shit with some butter. Oh my God, brother.
My
Biscuits and gravy,
favorite,
shit.
my second favorite food is Cajun food. I like Cajun food. I like crawdads. I like jambalaya. I like all that, dude. I've always liked that, and I've always loved that kind of food too. And I used to buy. My friend used to make jambalaya, and I would buy it from him, and I absolutely loved it. My wife, ex-wife uh, at the time was wife, but now she's ex. She used to make jambalaya and gumbo. Man, I love cornbread. That's one thing in South has. You guys got cornbread. Yes, I like good Southern cooking. I love Southern cooking. That's one thing I can't lie about Southern cooking. Italian foods, you know what? It has to be made. My family's Italian. My grandmother and aunt were, and they knew how to make authentic Italian. Yes, there's nothing that touches that. Not fucking Olive Gardens out here in California. Nope. Again, we get fucked. We now with certain shit though, like we have a lot of good different food here, but that's just something we don't have. Sandwiches, pizza. Well, I mean, you got a couple places down there that make you some good sandwiches, but nothing like back. I miss having hoagies, man. That fucking makes me mad, dude. Pennsylvania, I could walk into any deli and go buy a fucking hoagie. They're like, what the fuck is that? Sub sandwich?
You got some of the
You
best cheesesteaks in Pennsylvania. Philly is primarily, but all of Pennsylvania. And the cool thing about their cheesesteaks is it's not just like the shaved steak and the provolone on a roll. They put like nacho cheese on that shit.
cheese whiz.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
They have
Anyway,
the best.
That's
But
crazy.
we'll end the show like that. You guys know who we are. We've done that buy shit, all that. We'll do it next time. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know it was different, but you got a lot of good topics in here, and then we got to end it with food. So can't be bad.
I like it this way though, bro. I like just talking about whatever, have like a topic that we start off
Yeah.
on. But if we go off into other things, I mean, we did that anyway, really. But I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about a bunch of different things. Just have
Yeah.
a good conversation and enjoy the show.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. But I'll let James shut the show off, and we'll have a good night, guys. We'll see you next week.
As always, up to you to make up your own mind. Let us know down in the comment section what you think, and we'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye. And don't forget, biscuits and gravy, dude. Biscuits and gravy, that's the shit.